Every villain has an origin story. Every monster was once innocent. Every dark soul was once pure. And almost always the turning point is the same. Rejection. Someone told them no. Someone pushed them away. Someone made them feel worthless. Someone broke something inside them that never fully healed. And in that moment of pain, a seed was planted. A seed of darkness. A seed that would grow in the shadows of their soul until it consumed everything they once were. This is not a story about others. This is a story about you. About me. About every human being who has ever felt the sting of rejection and noticed something change inside them. Something cold. Something hard. Something dark. Welcome to Psyvenix. Today we explore territory that most people are afraid to enter. The darkness within. The shadow that rejection creates. The monster that pain can build. Why does rejection fuel your dark side? Why does being pushed away awaken something dangerous? Why does the experience of not being wanted transform people in ways they never expected? The answers are uncomfortable. The truth is unsettling. But understanding this is essential. Because the darkness is already inside you. The only question is what you will do with it. Some people let it destroy them. Some people let it destroy others. And some people learn to channel it into something powerful. Something unstoppable. Something that makes them more formidable than they ever were before. By the end of this video, you will understand your own darkness better than ever before. You will see the patterns that rejection creates. And you will have a choice to make about who you want to become. Subscribe to Psyvenix right now because what comes next will change how you see yourself forever. Rejection is not just an emotion. It is a neurological event, a physical experience, a rewiring of your brain. When you are rejected, your brain processes it the same way it processes physical pain. The same neural pathways activate. The same regions light up. To your brain, being rejected and being punched in the stomach are remarkably similar experiences. This is not metaphor. This is neuroscience. Rejection hurts because your brain literally registers it as injury. But why? Why would evolution wire us this way? Why would being told no create the same response as being physically harmed? The answer lies in our ancestors. For early humans, rejection meant death. If the tribe rejected you, then you were alone. If you were alone, you could not hunt effectively, could not defend yourself, could not survive the elements. Rejection from the group was a death sentence. So our brains evolved to treat rejection as an existential threat. The pain of rejection is your brain screaming at you that something dangerous is happening, that your survival is at risk, that you need to do something immediately. This is why rejection triggers such intense responses. This is why being told no can make you feel like you are dying inside. Your ancient brain believes you might actually be dying. But here is where it gets darker. When threatened with extinction, your brain does not respond with acceptance and peace. It responds with desperation, with survival instincts, with whatever it takes to stay alive. And sometimes whatever it takes means becoming something different, something harder, something capable of doing what your softer self could not. This is the first glimpse of your dark side, the part of you willing to change in order to survive, the part willing to become something else entirely if that is what survival requires. Epictetus taught that it is not things that disturb us, but our judgments about things. But when it comes to rejection, our brains bypass judgment entirely. The pain is automatic. The darkness it awakens is instinctive. And fighting against millions of years of evolution is not as simple as changing your thoughts. Carl Jung introduced the concept of the shadow, the part of yourself that you hide, the part that contains everything you reject about yourself, the part that lives in darkness because you refuse to look at it. Everyone has a shadow, the anger you suppress, the jealousy you deny, the cruelty you pretend does not exist, the selfishness you hide from others. All of it lives in your shadow, waiting, growing, feeding on everything you refuse to acknowledge. And rejection is the key that unlocks the shadow. When you are rejected, something profound happens. The version of yourself you present to the world has been deemed not good enough. The mask you wear has been seen through. The persona you carefully constructed has failed. In that moment of failure, your shadow stirs. It whispers to you. It says, perhaps you have been going about this wrong. Perhaps being good and kind and acceptable is not working. Perhaps it is time to try something else. The shadow offers you power. It offers you protection. It offers you a version of yourself that cannot be hurt because it does not care. A version that takes what it wants instead of asking permission. a version that dominates instead of accommodates. This is seductive, especially when you are in pain, especially when being yourself has resulted in rejection. The shadow promises that if you embrace it, you will never be rejected again, because you will be too powerful to reject, too intimidating to push away, too formidable to ignore. Many people resist this call. They push the shadow back down. They return to their normal lives and pretend nothing has changed. But the shadow remembers. It grows stronger with each rejection. It becomes more insistent, more persuasive, more difficult to ignore. Some people stop resisting. They embrace their shadow. They become the dark version of themselves that rejection created. And the world sees them transform from victim to villain, from wounded to dangerous, from rejected to feared. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. When rejection fills your thoughts with darkness, your soul begins to change color. The question is whether you will let the darkness consume you or learn to master it. There is a reason why so many powerful people have stories of profound rejection in their past. There is a reason why the most driven individuals often carry deep wounds. There is a reason why pain and power are so intimately connected. Rejection creates fuel, the hurt, the anger, the burning need to prove them wrong, the desperate desire to become so successful that everyone who rejected you will regret it. This is rocket fuel for achievement. Think about what rejection gives you. It gives you clarity. Before rejection, you may have been comfortable, complacent, content with mediocrity. But after rejection, you are hungry, focused, driven by something deeper than simple ambition. Rejection gives you independence. When others accept you, then you need them. Their approval matters. Their opinions shape you. But when others reject you, then you are freed from their influence. You no longer need their validation. You become self-sufficient in a way that accepted people never achieve. Rejection gives you hardness. The soft parts of you that trusted too easily and hoped too freely get burned away. What remains is steel, a core of strength that cannot be easily damaged because it has already survived damage. Rejection gives you motivation that comfortable people will never understand. The person who has always been accepted does not have the same fire as the person who was cast out. The insider does not have the same hunger as the outsider. The loved do not have the same drive as the abandoned. This is why rejection fuels your dark side. Because your dark side is where the power lives. The socially acceptable version of you is nice but weak. The shadow version of you is dangerous but strong. And when you have been hurt enough, the trade-off starts to seem worth it. Seneca wrote that difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. Rejection is the ultimate difficulty. It either breaks you or forges you into something unbreakable. And those who survive it often become more formidable than those who never faced it. The question is not whether pain gives you power. It does. The question is what kind of power and at what cost. Not everyone who faces rejection transforms positively. Some people break in ways that make them dangerous. To themselves, to others, to everyone around them. Understanding this transformation is crucial because you need to recognize it in others. And you need to recognize when it might be happening in you. The first stage is withdrawal. After rejection, the wounded person pulls back from the world. They isolate themselves. They stop trusting. They build walls so high that nothing can get in. This seems like self-protection, but it is actually the beginning of something darker. The second stage is resentment. In isolation, the rejected person begins to cultivate bitterness. They replay the rejection over and over. They analyze every detail. They feed their anger. They start to believe that the world is against them, that people are fundamentally cruel, that trust is foolish, that kindness is weakness. The third stage is dehumanization. Once resentment takes hold, the rejected person begins to see others differently. People are no longer people. They are obstacles, threats, tools to be used. The empathy that once connected them to humanity begins to erode. They start to feel separate, superior, beyond the rules that govern ordinary people. The fourth stage is justification. The rejected person develops a belief system that supports their new dark worldview. They were wronged. They are owed something. The world must pay. Their actions are justified because of what was done to them. They become the hero of a story where everyone else is the villain. The fifth stage is action. Everything building inside finally manifests externally. This might be manipulation, control, cruelty, Violence. The darkness that was planted by rejection has fully bloomed into something destructive. This transformation pattern appears again and again throughout history. The dictator who was bullied as a child. The killer who was rejected by society. The abuser who was abandoned by their parents. The cycle of rejection to darkness to destruction repeats endlessly. Epictetus warned that no man is free who is not master of himself. The person who lets rejection control their transformation is not free. They are a slave to their pain, a puppet of their wounds, a servant of their shadow. If you feel yourself moving through these stages, you must recognize it. Awareness is the first step to interruption. The darkness wants to progress silently. Bringing it into the light is how you stop it. Psychology identifies 3 dark personality traits that often emerge together: narcissism, Machiavellianism, psychopathy. Together they are called the dark triad. And rejection is one of the most common catalysts for their development. Narcissism emerges as a defense against rejection. If you build an identity based on being special and superior, then rejection cannot touch the real you. The rejection was not of you, but of the inferior version others mistakenly perceived. Narcissism creates armor, a grandiose shell that protects the wounded core. People who develop narcissistic traits after rejection become obsessed with status, with admiration, with proving their worth. They demand validation constantly because deep down they still carry the wound of being told they were not good enough. Every accomplishment is an attempt to disprove the rejection. Every display of superiority is a defense against the pain. Machiavellianism emerges as a strategy for control. If you were rejected because you were too trusting or too naive, then the lesson seems clear. Stop trusting. Start manipulating. The Machiavellian mindset says that people cannot be counted on, so you must learn to use them. Pull strings. Play games. Control outcomes. Never be vulnerable again. People who develop Machiavellian traits after rejection become calculating, strategic. They see relationships as chess games. They learn to present different faces to different people. They master the art of getting what they want without giving anything real in return. This feels like power, but it is actually prison. A life of manipulation is a life of isolation. Psychopathy emerges as a disconnection from empathy. If caring about others leads to pain, then the solution seems simple. Stop caring. The psychopathic response to rejection is to turn off the emotional systems that made rejection hurt in the first place. No empathy means no vulnerability. No connection means no risk. People who develop psychopathic traits after rejection become cold, detached. They can observe human suffering without feeling anything. They can cause harm without guilt. They have freed themselves from the weakness of compassion. But in doing so, they have also freed themselves from everything that makes life meaningful. The dark triad is not destiny. These traits exist on a spectrum. Everyone has some capacity for narcissism, some capacity for manipulation, some capacity for coldness. Rejection pushes people further along these spectrums. How far depends on many factors, but awareness of the process can help you resist it. Marcus Aurelius taught that the best revenge is to be unlike your enemy. If rejection makes you dark, then the true revenge is to find light anyway. To become good despite having every excuse to become bad. That is real power. That is real victory. Your dark side is not going away. It was born from real pain. It carries real power. Pretending it does not exist only makes it stronger. The shadow grows in what we refuse to acknowledge. But there is another option beyond suppression and surrender. You can channel your darkness. Direct it. Use it without being consumed by it. The first principle is acknowledgement. Stop pretending you are only light. Stop performing goodness while denying your capacity for darkness. Look at your shadow directly. Admit what lives there. The anger, the resentment, the desire for revenge, the hunger for power. Name it. Own it. Only what you acknowledge can you control. The second principle is separation. Your dark side is part of you, but it is not all of you. You can observe it without becoming it. When darkness rises, you can notice it and say, I see you. I feel you, but I choose what to do with you. This separation is crucial. It means the darkness advises, but does not command. The third principle is redirection. The energy of darkness is intense. It wants to move, to act, to destroy or create. If you do not give it a constructive outlet, it will find a destructive one. So redirect it. Pour it into work, into training, into building something that matters. Let your anger fuel your discipline. Let your pain power your ambition. Let your hunger for revenge become hunger for excellence. The fourth principle is integration. The goal is not to keep your dark side in a cage forever. The goal is to integrate it, to make peace with it, to let it become a part of your whole self rather than a hidden enemy. When darkness is integrated, it stops controlling you from the shadows. It becomes a tool you can access when needed and set aside when not. The fifth principle is purpose. Darkness without purpose is destruction. Darkness with purpose is power. Find a reason to channel your darkness that goes beyond personal revenge. Use it to protect others, to build something meaningful, to create change that matters. When your darkness serves something greater than your ego, it transforms from poison into medicine. Seneca observed that we suffer more from imagination than from reality. When you channel your darkness, you stop imagining revenge and start building reality. You stop fantasizing about what could be and start creating what will be. This is the alchemy of pain into power. If you are learning something valuable in this video, make sure you subscribe to Psyvenix. We explore the depths of human psychology so you can master yourself rather than be mastered. The ancient Stoics understood something profound about pain. They understood that suffering is inevitable, but how we respond to suffering is a choice. They developed practices for transforming pain into wisdom, for using darkness as a teacher, for becoming stronger through what would destroy lesser people. The first Stoic practice is negative visualization. The Stoics deliberately imagined the worst outcomes: rejection, loss, death, failure. They did this not to be pessimistic, but to be prepared. When you have already faced rejection in your mind, then actual rejection loses some of its power. You have rehearsed. You are ready. The darkness does not surprise you because you have already met it in meditation. The second Stoic practice is the view from above. When rejection consumes you, it feels like the entire world. But the Stoics would imagine rising above the situation, seeing it from space. From the perspective of the universe, your rejection is one tiny event among billions. This does not diminish your pain, but it contextualizes it. The darkness that feels infinite is actually quite small in the vast scheme of existence. The third Stoic practice is a more fatty love of fate. This is the practice of accepting everything that happens as necessary and good. Not good because it feels good, but good because it makes you who you need to become. Rejection is not a tragedy. It is training. The pain is not punishment. It is preparation. When you love your fate, even the darkness serves your growth. The fourth Stoic practice is memento mori. Remember death. The Stoics kept death at the front of their minds. Not to be morbid, but to be focused. When you remember that your time is limited, then rejection seems less important. The darkness that feels permanent is actually temporary. You will die? Before that happens, what will you do with your remaining time? Will you waste it nursing wounds? Or will you use it becoming something remarkable? The fifth Stoic practice is focus on what you control. You cannot control whether others reject you. You cannot control their opinions, their judgments, their choices, but you can control your response. You can control whether rejection makes you bitter or better. You can control whether the darkness destroys or develops you. This is your power, the only power that truly matters. Marcus Aurelius faced constant challenges during his reign: betrayal, war, plague, personal loss. Yet he remained balanced, wise, philosophical. He did not let darkness consume him because he practiced these principles daily. He became one of history's greatest leaders not despite his challenges, but because of how he met them. You have the same capacity. The same practices are available to you. The darkness of rejection can be met with Stoic wisdom. And from that meeting, you can emerge stronger than you ever imagined. You now stand at a crossroads. You understand what rejection does to the human psyche. You understand how it awakens darkness. You understand the transformation it can trigger. You understand the dark triad it can birth. You understand how to channel it. You understand the Stoic path through it. Now you must choose. One path leads to destruction, letting the darkness win, becoming the worst version of yourself, using your pain as an excuse for cruelty, letting rejection turn you into someone who creates more rejection in the world. This path is easy. It feels justified. It offers immediate satisfaction. but it leads nowhere good. The villains who choose this path always end up alone, feared but not respected, powerful but not fulfilled. They win battles but lose everything that matters. The other path leads to transcendence, using the darkness as fuel for something greater, becoming not the worst version of yourself but the strongest, taking everything rejection taught you and building something meaningful from it. This path is harder. It requires discipline, self-awareness, constant choice, but it leads somewhere remarkable. The heroes who choose this path become more than they were. They transform their wounds into wisdom, their pain into power, their darkness into light that helps others. The rejection you have faced was not random. It was not meaningless. It was the universe testing you, forging you, asking you who you want to become. Every great person has faced this test. Every legend has stood at this crossroads. What separated them from those who destroyed themselves was not luck. It was choice. You are not a victim of your darkness. You are its master. You did not choose to be rejected, but you choose what rejection makes you. This is your power. The power that no one can take away. The power that transforms everything. Next video, we are exploring something even deeper. The signs that someone is secretly programming your mind, manipulating your thoughts without you even knowing. You will not want to miss it. Until then, remember this. Your darkness is not your enemy. It is your power waiting to be claimed. What you do with it determines who you become. Stay aware. Stay strong. Stay masterful. This is Psyvenix.